Good morning, everyone. It's Fiona from Core Confidence. And this month, for August, we're talking about subject matter expertise. We're really going to unpack a bit around this idea that being right, having your knowledge, that's the most important thing. What we're curious about, what else? What is it about knowing your stuff that can be a limitation for us, and how might we try something different? And in the book we talk. Hi, Kate.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks. In the book we talk about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And Kate, do you want to join in with me here?
Yeah, sure. So I think particularly in this context, and it's chapter 3 of the book, Know Your Stuff, is very much where this concept, the two conversations, one around growth mindset, but also the conversation around, how do we articulate our value? How do we articulate what we know? I think to provide a broader context, how does this fit into the subject of core confidence? It's very much because historically, most of us have relied too much on what we know as a source of confidence. We see this in the workshops, we see this with clients that we coach individually, that we've looked at, we've used knowledge, and constantly we hear stories all the time around people talking about going and doing courses, further degrees, MBAs, all of these sorts of things. I need to acquire more knowledge in order to acquire more confidence. So I think firstly, it's been over leveraged, knowledge as a source of confidence. It matters, but it is one of the 10 building blocks to core confidence. In terms of, I guess, where it's really interesting and how do we broaden the conversation between just acquiring knowledge, it's about how to articulate my knowledge and package that up. And the language we use, V, is always around personal brand. And then secondly, how do you hold that and not be too tied into being right, because our attachment to being right and getting things perfect is problematic. And this is where the growth mindset piece comes in. How do you actually maintain an attitude of curiosity and kind of hold that piece that I'm constantly going to be learning? And so, yes, I know some really good stuff, and there's almost going to be no endpoint to that.
Yeah, it's been such an interesting thing as we've spent time unpacking the dimensions of core confidence and what does matter to people, to see how knowledge as a idea has a limitation on it. And I think it's difficult for us to separate this out, and that's why people keep doing more study. They keep thinking that that's the path. If I just know enough, if I can just show up with all the knowledge, if I can be the person who can answer the questions, that's going to give me confidence in some way. And yet we know that it's actually not that. It's the willingness, as you're saying, to hold both things. That yes, I know stuff and I am a subject matter expert and I have a certain amount, and also I cannot know everything. Simply the nature of knowledge. We live in an era where knowledge is doubling on itself, exponentially all the time. So the ability to know everything in this moment is actually impossible. And once we accept that, we can go, what's possible when I show up with all of my great knowledge and comfort in the fact that I simply can't know everything. And I'm curious about what we might co-create together. So when I'm in a group or when I'm in a meeting or I'm doing something, I'm not just thinking that I have to know it all. I'm thinking I'm going to contribute a lot here from my knowledge, and I'm going to engage with other people. And I think there's a really powerful piece here around not trying to take responsibility for everything, just being able to go, hey, I know I've got something valuable and I don't have to have everything.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I love that, that view of there is an answer or there's a limitation. I think more and more as we go forward in years, less and less will there be the right answer. And, we've seen in the last 5 years, but actually the right answer might be the right answer for that minute or that moment, and then things will change. Either new information, new data, new research, new circumstances that change what is right or what is the answer. So, if we think about this context of our attachment to what we know, certainly there's work to be done in terms of articulating what we know, and we'll talk more about that in future weeks. But I think this ability to lean into this constant evolution of what we know, and that, we hold, if you and I think about this in its application to core confidence, we know a lot about confidence, but we don't know it all. And in the years since we published the book, and even yesterday, we've just started working with a coach to look at evolving the core confidence keynote. Even yesterday, us spending 2 hours with him was amazing in terms of where we're taking the evolution of core confidence. So, we know a lot. We spent a lot of time workshopping with clients, coaching clients, reading and being in that space. And there's so much. Brené Brown last week, Sean helped us see it from a new perspective. So I think if we can take this view that it's always evolving, what I know is always evolving. And I think the key piece is to show up. And this is where it really ties into chapter 10, Face Fear, to be able to show up with that expectation. I think there's a piece here around expectations that, the expectation that I am the fountain of all knowledge in this subject. But actually, I know a lot and I've got a lot to learn, and there's probably more coming. And I've been in rooms where, people have said the rate at which you can become a thought leader is incredibly quick, and you will come and go as a thought leader depending on how much you stay in it. And this is the big approach, I think, to learning now. Is that no longer is it a set and forget. Careers historically have been, I go to university, or I do my education and then I get experience and I build on that experience. I might do a little bit more education, but that really, we're leveraging a 40, 50-year career on a foundation of, education and experience, and that is all going to flip on its head as we go further into the future.
Yes, I think, what you've talked about there very much is a demonstration of growth mindset in action. That, it's absolutely, we've got some fundamental knowledge, but we're not attached to it as such. We're not having to be right. We're not having to defend it. We're not having to protect what we know as being the truth. Where actually a growth mindset is literally that. It's something that's evolving. We know that we have a certain amount of knowledge. We know that we are interested in a subject, and we know there's always more to come. There's always more information. There's always something that can expand our viewpoint and can actually take us to a new place. And I think that's the beauty of a growth mindset. It actually opens up our own path as well as other people's.
Yeah, nice one. So I think, key takeaways for everyone is to reflect on, what is it? What is their attachment to what they know? What's its role as a source of confidence? As I said before, most people rely too heavily on what they know. And if they're at a point where there's a lack of confidence, or they feel like they don't have the confidence they need, often they'll rely more on go and study more or prepare more, is how it plays out in the workplace in terms of meetings. And so, there's a cost to that. So I think just really reflecting on the role that, what plays in your relationship with confidence is a really valuable process. And of course, in future weeks, starting to look at how do you actually unpack that? How do you position that so that you can actually start to use it to influence others in the workplace as well?
Yes, so many great tips there, Kate. Look, I think that's a great wrap for us today. If you don't have a copy of the book, you can get online and get one. If you'd like to download a copy, you can do that from the website. And any questions and comments around this topic, we'd love to see them in the box below.
Cool. See you, Fee. Have a great day.
You
Thanks,
too.
guys.
See you.